guys, welcome to the Conspiracy Corner. Before we jump into this episode, we wanted to add a little blurb in here to touch on the Phobos 2 incident, which we said we were going to talk about, but we didn't because we talked about so many things in this episode. It just slipped our minds and we kind of skipped it. The Phobos 2 incident is really, really interesting, and it's one of the most important theories or conspiracy theories around Mars, the red planet, as we'll learn in this episode, the not so red planet. Phobos 2 was the name of a Russian satellite that's mission was to take photos of Mars's moon, Phobos. The thing that's interesting about this whole mission is that as it was approaching its target to take some of these photos, suddenly the satellite started spinning and was knocked off course. It seems it was hit by something in space, which doesn't make a lot of sense. There wasn't anything else out there, but the satellite was taking images prior to this happening. And it took a long time for the Russians to finally release this, but when the images were released to the public by the Russian Space Agency, the images show what appears to be some sort of UFO or object off in the distance. The theory is that is what struck the satellite and knocked it off, of course, preventing it from taking pictures of who knows what on the moon of Mars called Phobos. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll jump right into it. Welcome to Conspiracy Corner. Today, we are going to be talking about the red planet that, as the title says, maybe actually isn't red, believe it or not. And we'll get into that here. But to get things started, how's your guys' week? How's it going? What good conspiracies and theories have you read this week? Our thread's been pretty alive. What do you know?
Well, one that really made me mad is the Telegram CEO getting imprisoned in France.
Yeah.
That's very wild. That's concerning. That should make everyone in America like alarms going off. Like that stuff. That gives me more heebie-jeebies than like having spiders crawl over me.
Yeah,
it's scary. Scary thinking about them trying to do that to Musk next, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they isn't Brazil trying to ban Twitter and Starlink right now? I read something this week too.
They just seized their assets and their bank accounts. Hey, hit the branding thing so that thing isn't on top of your face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they totally seized all their assets, and if you live in Brazil, you ain't gonna get the truth.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, the other thing that was like probably the best news I've seen in 4 or 5 months. Mark Zuckerberg came out and said he wasn't going to spend $450 million suppressing and spending ads. He admitted that he was forced by the Biden and Harris administration to censor information during COVID, and he regrets it. Like it's like a remorsefully written letter if you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's like ever since that happened with Donald Trump, and he got on there and he was like, "That's the most bad A thing I've ever seen." Yep. It's like since then he's like doing a little bit of a 180.
You guys think how much do you think it had to do with Elon Musk? Because he obviously is really, he's envious of Musk, and he's like, "I'll fight you anytime, anywhere," and he's doing all his jujitsu stuff, and Musk eggs him on all the time. Like he's the biggest troll. Anytime he gets an opportunity to say it. He told somebody the other day that as they were doing their test driving software, he decided to go in the car up to Zuckerberg's house because they knew it was going to be mapping out his thing. He's like, I knocked on his door, nobody answered. Just a troll. So the question is, do you think it has more to do with that or Dana White and all of the MMA people and the Joe Rogan side that are kind of like waking people up? What do you think has more effect?
That's possible because Zuckerberg like trains with a lot of the big MMA fighters, and he's kind of trying to be involved in that scene. Have you seen the memes of him? Like he looks like a frat boy now. Yeah, and like he's wearing a chain and got a perm and like tan, and then there's the pictures from like years ago where he looks like a pale lizard on a surfboard.
Listen to what I heard. I heard that he pays these MMA fighters to do like a camp with them for like 3-4 days, and he does it over an MMA weekend, and he pays them $150,000 to $200,000 so that he can then go in the UFC thing as part of the camp, and that's why he's behind the scenes and stuff. And those fighters are getting paid more for doing that than some of their fights.
Wow.
So he's just, I mean, if you had that kind of money, like what's $150,000 of Zuckerberg? It's like $4 to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 40 cents
Yeah.
or
Oh,
4
man.
cents.
I saw too. I think it was Trump. He put out publicly that like if Zuckerberg, if he finds anything that they do illegally, you know, like they did in the past election, he's putting him straight in jail essentially.
I
Wow.
saw that.
So
Yeah, that came out perfectly afterwards.
right. You had a really good one, Trevor. You found the video on the lights on Proxima B. Remember that?
Remind me.
It was
Yes,
the
it's
James
the
Webb Telescope.
CERN or the James Webb Telescope.
Yeah.
Oh, that is crazy.
To find
The city lights.
Yeah,
You know what?
basically, for the first time ever, they're saying we can see city lights. It's different than, there's light inside the planet, right? Now,
Let me see if I can find it.
super
Yeah, if you can find it, show it to me because I couldn't watch it. I can't see any of the TikTok stuff that you guys post.
Okay, let me see. Trevor, I have to log into my TikTok maybe to be able to see it here. I don't know. Let me see if
I
I
don't know,
can.
Dave, you need to get on this TikTok, bro. It's the bee's knees, dude.
You know, it used to be fine because you guys would send something and it'd still let me watch. I could watch the video as long as I didn't like push, something, and then it would like take me to the app store.
And now it doesn't let you.
It doesn't let me do it anymore. It's got a big play button on there, but if you push play, it just goes to the app store. I'm like, come on.
It's how they get their downloads.
Million.
Yeah.
Let's
I
see.
really wanted to see that one because that one sounded so interesting to me.
Yeah,
Perfectly timed with Alien Romulus coming out too, right?
in the beginning of it, they do like this AI recreation of what the lights look like. And I thought it was what they filmed with
Yeah,
the James
same. And I was like,
and my
my
heart, I promise you, more than anything, my heart jumped out of my chest, like for joy. For joy.
Yeah.
But you can actually see it like that's what the lights looked like.
It looks.
And I can't pull it up on my computer. It won't work. But
All right, keep talking about something else, and I'll open it up.
Okay, so you can find it. Yeah, that one was awesome. And then the other thing that made me like kind of sick to my stomach, but also like holy cow, how amazing is the AI simulated videos of Trump, Kamala, the Pope, Elon,
Amazing.
like everybody, and how and Hillary, like all of them doing robberies, holding a gun, and it looks, I mean, pretty real.
Really,
That is what I was going to bring up next was, this image that Trevor, you said made your heart jump. We are like by the week getting to a point to where you can't believe what you see.
Yep.
Right. And it sucks. I mean, it's really cool technology, but it kind of sucks. It's like, how are we going to get past this?
Yeah.
They're going to have to use something like tap into the blockchain or something for like every single video editing software. It's going to have to be illegal to use video editing software that doesn't register itself to the blockchain, because it needs to then be able to be like, all right, we can track everywhere that this video originated, but I don't know how it's going to happen. I mean,
I saw that Microsoft's working on a software to like specifically to detect AI in images and videos.
Yeah,
that's like they're putting a whole department to work on it. But yeah, it's so wild. And it's terrible for like people like boomer age, right? Where they're already fooled by any and everything on the internet sometimes, and then this comes through and they're like, "Would you look at that?" And it's like, it's not quite real there.
Right. Well, think about
that's my favorite.
It's getting my parents, man. It's starting to get them.
It gets parents nonstop. I don't understand how their like discernment and filters are so far off.
So bad, dude.
So far off. And you know what? It's the same gene. It's the same part of their brain. And I'm talking to you, old people. It's the same part of their brain that can't understand memes. And you have to explain it to them 9 times. And even when you're done explaining it to them, they still don't understand what it is, and they pretend to, and they're like,
just laugh to be nice.
Yeah.
You know what I saw, and this is probably me coming to the game really late. It has nothing to do with conspiracy, but I have a TikTok account for like my design stuff, and it has a thing where AI will generate a meme for you, and it was funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a picture about what this thing was, and it was like I pushed it just to see what it was, and it made a meme for me, and I was like, that was funny.
That's
It did good. Isn't
awesome.
that crazy?
That's good.
Okay, I found it. Can I hit present?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. Share screen.
Change it over to.
Where is it?
Proxima B. Pretty sure they just make up these planet names.
Okay. Add me to stage.
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. I got to refresh this. And then go full screen.
What are the theories behind like, has anyone said there's always like well, it's probably volcanoes or what, you know?
I think they explain it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the theory is that it's life more intelligent than us.
Okay, let's hear what this is. Tell me if you can hear this.
Of NASA discovering city lights on a planet 7 trillion miles away. Here's what happened. 7 trillion miles is just around the Oort cloud, which is a kind of icy shell of debris surrounding our solar system and the source for many of our comets, meaning that this is our backyard, nowhere near far enough to reach even our closest neighbors. In 2022, there were articles about James Webb's capability of detecting artificial lights on a planet called Proxima Centauri b, which is a planet that orbits around here. But those articles were just about how that would work and how James Webb could identify them. There were then quite a few misleading titles from verified YouTube accounts, which is frustrating because even a quick Google search can do the math for how not far 7 trillion miles is. Some of the articles I found talking about it claimed that NASA made the discovery, but their sources linked to totally unrelated news or were like benign articles about how lights work. This sort of thing should bother us. Once that seed is planted, it's really hard to uproot. So click those links and use a calculator, as much as I want this to be true.
I didn't realize this was the one that's going to ruin and shatter all my hopes and dreams.
Oh shoot! Whoops! That's funny, man. Well, want. Anyways, well, let's jump into our topic today. Unless you guys have any other ones that you want to talk about, but I think that kind of covered everything that we talked about this week, aside from California giving 150 grand to illegal immigrants for a down payment on houses.
Right?
Party. Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah. Speaking of aliens,
I'll just drop a conspiracy theory for you right now.
let's hear it.
I've been thinking about these illegals, and I feel like, we had Antifa during Trump's administration. Antifa showed up, and they kind of hid behind BLM and hid amongst BLM. But I remember feeling frustrated. That was one thing I felt frustrated with Trump administration. It was like, why aren't you guys doing something about this? Like, people are burning down cities or attacking, they're doing all this stuff. What's going on? I wanted some justice. Like, let's get some people out there and take care of this. This isn't right,
More Kyle Rittenhouses.
Yeah. and so, but now I'm looking back on this in retrospect, and I'm like, what if that was the first attempt of the left to actually start a civil war? Start a civil war, like go wreck America. And when they retaliate, it's gonna start the civil war. And think about also how BLM got fired up. It was over George Floyd. Was kind of, I don't know about the whole source of it, but that was kind of a hot spot at that time.
Right.
Well, imagine if Trump had sent in the National Guard or something, and they had killed 15 black guys that happened to be, in Antifa gear or whatever, but kind of like for the BLM movement. The left would have spun that so badly, it would have been really, really bad, right? And so I look back at it and I'm like, wow, there's some wisdom in Trump choosing not to retaliate like I would have wanted him to at that point. And now, okay, I felt like that was kind of a test bed, but what we've got coming are all these illegals, and we're already seeing stuff like Aurora, Colorado, like what's going on. It feels out of control. It feels out of control. And I'm already like, we gonna send like people gonna come in, take care? Like, what's happening, guys? And I'm thinking, okay, if their own citizens can't spark a civil war, let's get the illegals to spark the civil war. And I feel like that's going to be a play. That's what I'm calling. So I don't know if you guys got any thoughts on that.
That's interesting.
I'm pretty concerned about that.
Yeah, it seems almost inevitable. Especially, I'm like all excited for Trump to get in, but they're gonna lose their mind. I don't see him getting elected. First off, I feel like they're gonna deep state him or the ballot. I don't know, but if he gets in, they're gonna lose their mind. You remember those memes that it's gonna be that, but with COVID craziness, I mean, we're so divisive right now. Ugh.
Yeah.
I agree. We shall see. We shall see. All right. Well, let's jump into it, Dave. We'll hopefully not have to put that theory to the test, but
right?
Yeah. I'd love nothing more.
So one of the things that I wanted to start off here with Mars. Mars is known as the red planet, and if this is your first time dipping into any conspiracy theories or things about Mars, one thing you need to know right off the bat is that Mars is not red. From afar, it appears red, but it was a big scandal, but it's totally proven. You can look it up. I'm not even going to waste a lot of time on it. But just to make you start thinking and wondering, okay, what else is being held from us? It was discovered that NASA was editing images, all of them, and placing a red filter on all the images that were coming back from the rovers, supposedly, or from NASA's telescopes.
Why would they do that?
I have no idea. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. One theory, the big theory, is probably because Mars is a lot of the pictures and things they're pulling out are just from Greenland, which is where they have a base where they test. So it's called and I actually didn't pull this up. I should have. It's the Houghton Project, and I will pull that up right now for us to see. Yeah, so
the Hot and Cold Project.
Hot and cold, yeah. Let me share my screen here, and I'll show you guys what that is and where it is. You can go look around there on Google Earth. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yep.
Let me go ahead and, yeah, okay, perfect. So this is the Houghton Mars Project, HMP, and it takes place in Greenland, and they ship people out there every year and put them in these tents and stuff, and they take, because they claim that the stuff out there, the environment is just like it is on Mars, which makes no sense to me. So you can go on Google Earth and look this up and go to where they have the base. We'll do that right now. And you can look around, and the territory right here looks exactly like how it would look on Mars. We just put them over here and look around. So here's the base they have, and they took away the pictures, but there used to be pictures where you could see like the rovers. That might be it. I can't tell out here, but
I've seen some of those. Where
so one of the theories is that this is
NASA on them.
So these trucks say like Mars One, NASA. I don't know if you use these arrows. Yeah, see, like there's the NASA logo right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's plenty of pictures of the red filter on Mars photos, and then side by side is just somewhere in Greenland or this island out in the northern hemisphere. So that's one of the big things and one of the interesting theories that surrounds Mars, and it gets everybody thinking, like, okay, like you said, Jackie, why would they edit these photos? And the reason they did it, the reason, or not the reason they did it, but the reason how people found out is some of the images came back and they were really kind of blurry and edited, and someone said this isn't right, and so it only took a couple amateur photographers to put it into their own software and realize there was like 14 or 15 different Photoshop filters on these photos. And then ever since then, so now if you look at photos of Mars, now Mars is what it actually looks like is more of like a bluish gray. there than red.
Funny.
So there's that. Yeah, for Mars. Really, really interesting.
Yes.
And then the next thing that kind of sparks my interest about this is, and one of the big theories is that Mars used to house some sort of ancient civilization, right? And that maybe there was life on Mars prior, and there's talks of we can maybe go to Mars, maybe it's inhabitable, and there's stuff all over. One is the faces on Mars, which I don't know if you guys have seen those before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have? Okay, so I'm going to play a little clip for our viewers if you haven't seen the faces on Mars. And this is from, let's see here, the Y files. Okay.
Oh, I love the Y files.
Yeah, he does a good job. It's kind of funny, but it's good.
Of pyramids near the face that people
Let me go back a couple seconds here.
created a monument of a humanoid head, we'd expect to see other structures close by. And that's exactly what we see. There's a cluster of pyramids near the face that people call the city square. And near those is an object nicknamed the fortress, which appears to be a collapsed pyramid. There's a formation called the DNM pyramid, named for NASA imaging scientists Vince Pietro and Greg Molinar. DNM is a massive 5-sided, 1.5 mile tall structure. This is 3 times the size of the largest pyramid in Egypt. But what's really interesting about the DNM pyramid is that it's symmetrical around 2 different axes. Now, it's easy to dismiss these findings that it's nothing more than a coincidence that all these weird-looking structures and pyramids are within a few miles of the face. But then a professional satellite imaging specialist named Errol Torin started looking into it. He worked for the Defense Mapping Agency, and his job was literally to analyze satellite images and decide which objects were natural and which were artificial. He said that all the objects, including the face, were not of natural origin. But the DNM pyramid really blew his mind.
The geomorphic natural hypothesis is thus left with no mechanism that can explain the formation of the DNM pyramid. This object's 5-sided shape and bilateral symmetry is unlike any landform seen to date in this solar system.
Torin called this pyramid the Rosetta.
Anyways, so I think that's pretty interesting, the pyramids. That guy kind of sounds like Tucker Carlson, not the Y-Files host, but the guy who is the scientist. Yeah. Have you guys seen the pyramids before? Or looked into that much?
Mm-hmm.
You're muted, Trevor.
I was just saying, I haven't spent a ton of time on it. Are they legit? Like, I know like this much. I like the faces and everything. Like, I felt like people were like seeing things. I can look at clouds and make interesting observations. So like, I haven't looked into this much. So maybe this will be a new experience for me.
So they have a name for it, and now I forget. Something starts with like a D.
It starts with a P.
Physiology.
Palomino? What is it called?
I forget now, but they call it a syndrome that people have where, for whatever reason, as humans, we like to like project our traits onto things. Like dogs, we name them human names. We treat them like humans, and we're like searching for things without realizing it.
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia. There you go. Okay. And yeah, they said it's just a disorder that like everybody experiences when we look at it and we find faces or we find things that seem human to us.
Yeah.
Like,
the odd part, right, is that we all see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the faces.
I don't buy that that's a face. I mean, it does look like a face, but like I can just like Trevor said, I live in St. George, Utah, and it actually is quite Mars-like. And I see crap all the time. I'm looking over here. I'm like, that looks like a monkey's face, that rock right there. So that looks like an elephant head, and you're going to see a lot of stuff and patterns and that. Yeah. But if I think there is I guess I can see it in see it as a possibility that humans or beings started on Mars. I feel like there's a great chance that we could have started on Mars and worked our way to Earth. So it's a fascinating idea, right? Which is also kind of funny if we're trying to go back, like, Elon's like, we need to go to Mars, and
Back to the Future, bro.
Yeah.
Gotta go Back to the Future. I got a funny story to tell about whatever that. What's the name of the thing? The disorder.
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia. Okay. So we were told there was this cool guy out in Tooele that we needed to interview for Zion Media. Okay. And they had pictures of like amazing, like Native American, artwork and really rock formations. And he's got all these different treasures, and we're like, we're on it. So we zip out there. We go into this mobile home park in Tooele. Okay. And as we go in and sit down, it was like the worst smelling person on your mission. Remember on your mission, Cash? In like,
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can assume because you were in Brazil. I was
A
in
mixture of rotting mangoes, dead animals, and sewage all wafting up in the heat.
and like moist in the air, right?
Yep.
And just like
Taste it.
your cat hair it's everywhere. It's all in this vapor locked, trailer. And we sit down and we meet this guy, Denny.
Hot box.
And sitting on and by the way, there was a 1/4 inch of dust or more on every square inch of that place. I couldn't even figure it out. Like the kitchen table, it wasn't in the bar, but everywhere else, just like dust. I'm like, it was so weird. His computer looked like he hadn't been on his computer. And he's so excited for us. He's sitting in his Lazy Boy. And on the floor in front of him is 3 boxes that are like shoe box, but like professional, and they're full of pictures. Okay. And then he's got hard drives and cameras, and he's got a sword, and he's got all these different rocks and such right on the ground. And I'm like, holy crap, this is a effing jackpot, right? Like, we are going to go #1 on this video. And he sits down. This guy's been going out for 51 years to the Uinta Mountains as much as he can. He's been like married and mainly divorced. He just goes out there, and he can't do it in the winter, but he goes from the spring to the fall as much as he can financially afford to do it. And he looks for rock formations. And so I'm just like, oh, this is going to get good. Here it comes. It shows us the first picture. And I look at it, and he's explaining it to me. And I'm like, I think this guy's crazy. And I pass it over to Shane, and then he hands me the next one, and he shows and explains it to me. He's like, see right here. And I can see what he's saying, but I'm just like, oh man, next one. And it just went downhill from there. And Shane was pretending like he could see him to not make the guy feel bad. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't have the gift, Denny. I never had that gift. I don't see things. I'm not good at puzzles. My mind can't put things together like that. And so then I started asking him all of these stories. I like, hey, we're filming it, may as well ask him questions. Have you ever seen Bigfoot? And he's like, I haven't seen Bigfoot, but I have heard him. And he tells us his Bigfoot story. And then he goes, and I know someone who has seen Bigfoot. And I'm like, tell us that story. Don't tell us the one that they haven't. Tell us that story. He goes in and he tells the story. And at the very end of it, his head is inside one of these caves, and he's got 2 guys outside of him that are kind of like helping him in. And Bigfoot apparently comes and just screams at the top of its lungs and then runs out. And I'm like, but your head was in the cave. You were in the cave, like half of your body. You didn't see. Tell us who did see him. And you kept going into like the next story. At the end of the day, not a single person saw him. Tons of people heard him. Tons of people had evidence of it. And yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I got like 3 hours more of stories about this guy.
Hey, speaking of Bigfoot, there are pictures on Mars of a Bigfoot humanoid rock.
It's got to be real, then. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Real.
It's got to be.
What is it?
It's totally just a rock, but you haven't seen that, Cash?
It looks like it. No, I mean, I went through so many photos.
It's got the
There's a lot of
classic.
them.
It's got the classic like this. Look at your screen. He's like that, walking. Yeah.
Hang on, let me look.
There's like a
You just
sphinx,
do a quick
a sarcophagus. There's like a parrot.
Here it is. Yeah. Here, I'll pull it up.
So many
we can
things
see
people have said.
really fast. Let me share that.
I don't think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Oh, I just was gonna say they don't look like I get where it's like what Trevor said. Like I get what people are saying, but I'm like, nah, teeny tiny Bigfoot.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem. I don't feel like, oh yeah, that's it. But I saw this video that I sent to Cash that had like these sounds, but it also had this rover that touched down, and when it touched down, it gets its cameras out and it takes 4 not screenshots, but 4 photos to like orient itself north, south, east, west. And when they upload it to NASA, there's something in the sky in one of the photos.
Yeah.
Have you guys
Yeah.
seen that?
Don't
let's
talk
take,
about
let's
it
take a look
without
at it.
showing us.
Okay, let's take a look at it right now. So I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm just warning all of you guys. If you talk about something and you can't show it to me,
Then it doesn't exist.
just don't tease me.
Well, I wanted to have it all set up, and my laptop isn't working. So
All right, here we go. So this is this part of it.
Gave Martian Day or soul of the mission for NASA's InSight lander. The spacecraft is surveying workspace. A camera on its robotic arm is moving and snapping pictures
Go
of
full screen, will you?
a barometer on the surface to
Is it
study
not?
Mars' weight.
No, without us. Without us, I'm saying.
Ah.
I want to see all of it.
Okay, we go.
There it is.
Sorry, I'm on just my laptop today, so
While it finds many, it also detects this. First, an eerie hollow noise, followed by a series of dinks and donks. Then a howl right out of a science fiction film. What could be making these strange sounds? George Haas is the director of the Cydonia Institute, which argues that ancient civilizations existed on Mars.
NASA's research with Mars found overwhelming evidence that Mars was a wet, green planet, very similar to Earth, had water, breathable air. Many people think there was a civilization that once lived there and is now extinct. So perhaps we're hearing some type of signals being sent out from Mars from the distant past. Back in 1901, Nikola Tesla claims that he had received radio signals from Mars. So possibly this is the remnant of that communication that we're hearing now.
Another possibility, and go with us for a minute, is that the sounds are emanating from within some large underground structure.
Some researchers believe that sound
that's the
played
one
a
with
major
birds.
role in the
Birds,
architecture
Yeah.
in the building.
Asking, are there already birds on the red planet?
Rover is looking for signs of ancient life, either primitive forms of bacteria or strands of DNA. To get its bearings, it takes a panorama of 4 images, and in the 3rd frame, it snaps this.
what?
A bizarre object appears suspended over the Martian surface. Zoom in, and it's clearly something thin and elongated, seemingly out of place. Just minutes after NASA downloads the image, social media lights up with posts about aliens and UFOs.
So you can pause it now.
Zooming
That's-
into the image, you can see it.
Those
Pretty
videos,
much.
both of those videos were cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Right?
interesting.
I want to watch that whole
a good
thing
one.
now.
I
So
do too.
okay, wait.
Will you
Maybe.
send who has that link? Send it.
Jackie's got it. It's in the chat, I think. Or did you
Alright.
send
Oh
it to
yeah,
me?
it is. At the beginning of it, it also shows this like it looks like something crash landed, like this track. Like you should go to the first of it and just to see what the picture looks like,
Right.
because that was the best thing I've seen. I'm not like, oh, it looks like a
Oh, yeah.
Egyptian whatever.
Yeah. I'll share real
You're like, that doesn't look natural. That looks weird.
I have seen. You guys know who Richard C. Nolan is, right? Have you heard of this guy? He's. I wonder if he died. I haven't heard him in like 5 or 6 years, but he was one of the guys that were really big on the face thing, right? Which made me like weary of him. But he had some incredible pictures of structures with like perfect symmetry, and I mean,
Yes.
a lot of them were like, "How is that created naturally?" You know, like
Yeah, I have a
evolution
clip
and-
of Buzz Aldrin talking about the monolith on Mars.
ooh, the
Yeah.
monolith.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So let's look at
Wait,
this.
it's not on Mars; it's on Phobos. That's on.
Uh,
Phobos.
No, there's one on Mars and there's one on Phobos too, and we'll talk about the Phobos incident.
There's not one on Mars unless I've never heard of this.
Or maybe I got it wrong. Let's take a look at this, Jackie, and then. Oops. Yeah, this is
In
it.
March 2006, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter begins its mission of studying the atmosphere and terrain of the red planet. Since then, the orbiter has taken almost 7 million pictures of the Martian surface, but it wasn't until 2021 that somebody noticed this. It's a pair of long parallel lines with indentations that lead to what appears to be a half-buried disc. And take a closer look.
Whoa.
See that perfectly
Okay.
shaped crescent edge? George
Yeah.
Haas, director of the Cydonia Institute, explains what the buzz
That's
is all about.
obvious.
A South African researcher says he found what appeared to be the remains of a UFO crash. The object that he was looking at was between 12 and 15 meters in
Okay, so
That's
the
awesome.
face- yeah,
That's
a
way
one.
cool. That's clear.
So here's something about all this: the face, the pyramids, the structures, the monoliths. Right, most of the images and footage that we have is like Mars from. Sorry, isn't of Mars. Is of those structures and things from far away. Right, NASA takes it like a satellite or something above. It's never from the rovers. And all of these structures, the public has petitioned over and over for NASA to go in and get a close-up shot, or to go send the rover there, or have the satellite go focus just on that, and they won't do it. They won't do it. Which is interesting to me. And but what's and so a lot of these structures and like the pictures that we have nowadays come from amateur telescopes and just amateur astrologists and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting to me. It makes me think, okay, why don't they want us to see it?
Yeah.
So
Right.
so then
So-
that go ahead.
So I was going to say, similarly, it's like it feels like there might be a conspiracy here in that we didn't go to Mars, right?
Yeah.
So we've got telescopes that are showing us real pictures of Mars, but then we've got from the rover. Did we ever make it with the
Is
rover?
it just in Greenland?
And there was a pic.
I think I would bet like 98% certainty there's rovers there.
There are pictures of a fly on the rover. Have you seen the picture of the fly, Trevor?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Or the lemming?
I don't think it discredits all of the other pictures,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's weird though, like Cash said, why won't they go and check out some of these famous sites?
I guarantee you they have terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of stuff that they're classified and like there's few people that can even have access to them.
Yeah, I believe that too.
There's some really good stories you have to dig into. They're kind of long stories, so I didn't pull them, but I'll link the Y-Files videos in the description of this video for our viewers to go watch. There's 3 videos that he has on Mars, and one of them he covers in depth about the guy who got in trouble and caught at NASA for basically breaking into those files. And that's what started the edited image stuff and things like that. So
I also had a thought about to kind of back up what Trevor was just saying. There are also so many images from the rovers, different areas, that it's like, I tend to think, okay, there's some weird anomalies where we see, fly, or we see some certain things. There's a landscape that they have aligned to an exact landscape, and they're like, this is where it is right here.
I've seen that.
It's just got a filter on it, right? But then there's so many more that I kind of feel like if they're roaming around somewhere on the earth right now getting those pictures, wouldn't we have evidence of that somewhere? I mean, I don't know how, if they secure that Greenland area in a way to where it's like civilians absolutely cannot go there if they're wanting to. But that part of it makes me be like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we do have some rovers there. And I never questioned it until about a year and a half ago. I started seeing enough stuff that I thought, I've questioned the moon landing, which is a whole other thing. We're going to probably devote a whole podcast to that. But like, I didn't question us going to Mars. I thought like, yeah, we could do that. We could send a robot to Mars. Why not? But seeing some stuff that I've seen recently, I'm starting to think, why would they fake? And this is the problem with NASA. People have a problem. Why are you guys faking one thing? And we know it's fake. So then we have no good baseline to be like, it's all real, or we start to question if any of it was real, right?
Right. Goes back to the edited photos, right?
You want to know what I think?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think NASA and the Smithsonian are in on a massive conspiracy to not scare us of what the real history is and what our relationship with these UFOs are, and planets and history. And I mean,
Giants.
there's just been giants, right? There's so much stuff that they're just I don't think we really understand the speciesism. There's people now that are going back to Darwin's theory of evolution and destroying it. Liberals, people in the academic community being like, this is absolute BS. Doesn't work, right? Yeah. Same thing they're doing with the Big Bang. Have you seen that thing that recently came out? Rogan's had a few episodes where he talks about it. They're questioning the Big Bang, that it's like probably flawed, that it didn't happen that way. Right. And so there's just, we don't know a thing. And all of these agencies, NASA, one of their jobs is to make sure that whatever story of the cosmos and the universe that we're pitching to society lines up orthodoxy wise.
Yep. And if it doesn't, then just like the giant bones or the mammoth bones, they end up in the Hudson River instead of in the Smithsonian. It makes me think of Carlo Crespi, right? In Ecuador, with the records that would have disrupted like the timeline of Christianity that people understand. And suddenly there was a fire and all the records got destroyed and disappeared. So yeah, there's things like that all over. Yeah. Back to your point, Dave and Trevor, you're saying how could someone not discover it? So that base is Devon Island. It's in Canada, and it's claimed to be like the largest uninhabited mass of land aside from like Antarctica. And I was reading some stuff, and we're in preparation for this, saying of like how hard it was to actually get there, and things like. Oh, here's a picture of the. Here, let me show my screen. Here's a picture of the rover on the island. I got it.
Do you have a picture of the fly?
I don't know.
We need to show that for the viewers.
Okay, let me tell you why I think that you could absolutely fake it. I'm not saying that I am in favor of that, but my oldest child loves the Clark Planetarium so much, and we've gone there, and I've seen multiple movies that they've done with the rovers. They have mini rovers you can drive. They have like a model of it, all this stuff. I just think, and like I've seen all these videos on it, like ones that they've made, and then they're testing them like in Arizona or whatever, and it's going over the rocks and they're doing all this stuff. I think you could absolutely do it because they're testing them and they take them to these places that look like that. And yeah, people might drive by and they're like, oh yeah, they're filming a movie for whatever.
I was going to say, when you were saying that, give me $15 million and I'll have a better website and more images and more live streams.
Okay, I have to pause you guys right now. I just had, when we put her up there, I just had the craziest deja vu like ever. Like I swear I've had a dream before where this just happened and we're having this conversation. As soon as you said Clark Planetarium, it was like, bing! Like
we jumped timelines.
Whoa! Yeah. Like I'm in Tahoe. Yeah, the timelines just boom meshed together.
That's the best news ever. That means you're on your right timeline.
That was crazy, dude. That was like
you're back.
Trippy, actually.
You're back.
We're back.
Listen, me and Jackie and Dave are on a totally different timeline ripping through space right now, bro.
Crazy,
this is your timeline.
That was so wild. Holy smokes.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't find the picture of the fly on the rover now.
That's probably been
scrubbed.
It's this timeline we're in now. We're screwed. I can't find it.
My bad.
Okay, wait.
I did
have
find
one more
something.
thing I want to say or ask you guys. So in the video where it shows the 4 views and then there's something in the sky, their official explanation of what that was is they said that when the rover is coming down, it has some kind of gold foil stuff that's on it, and sometimes it could peel off, and that maybe when it was landing, it floated up in the sky. That did not look flat or foil like.
And for it to be that far away, that had to be a big piece of gold foil.
Yeah, and I mean, but it wasn't like thin or I don't know. It looked like there was body to it. So, what do you guys think about that explanation?
Hey, ChatGPT, help me come up with 15 believable conclusions. I mean, that's just one of those.
Right?
Yeah. All right, Dave, did you find it?
I can't find it.
Shoot.
Dude, that's kind of scary if they've scrubbed. I guarantee you it's on TikTok, Dave. Watch.
You
Here
can
I
find
go.
it, probably.
You know, I saw it on like a Instagram or something like that, but I'm just doing a flat out search. I can't find it. I found something that says "Fly on Mars" and it's a YouTube video, but it's not the one, and it's not convincing.
Okay, I got it. You want to see it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, hang
Yep.
your.
Not AI generated.
Oh no, this is.
Oh, you know, there you go. How we're gonna go from this point forward.
Right.
Okay, I gotta text it to myself. So
All those people who are being held hostage by P. Diddy and Epstein, they got an out now. They're gonna be like, it's just AI generated, y'all.
Yep.
Didn't do anything.
So true. Okay, I got it.
Okay, go ahead and kick it up there, and I'll.
Hold on a second.
There's one of a lemming too, like you can an Arctic lemming, like just popping out from behind a rock. It's like perfectly matches up with Greenland, you know.
Joy, is it Greenland or is it Canada?
So
Canada rings a bell, but is it
Canada,
part of Canada that is?
It's Canada. Devon Island is considered Canada,
Okay.
but then there's parts of Greenland too that like,
I see.
you know, the photo with the line, like one's filters red, one's normal. That's a Greenland picture. Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a fly.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, that's so dumb.
Did you guys see? I swear it was just recently. I think it was Mars. Maybe it was a different planet. But there was like mesh. Like,
No.
I don't know, just like mesh, like laying on the ground. And they were like, what the heck is that? But then they were just like, oh, it's space trash.
Yeah, it
what
looked
are
like
the
snake
chances-
skin.
Yes. Okay, yes. What are
Naturally
the chances
occurring.
that could just fall from space?
No, it would burn up.
Okay,
Something like mesh
they
would burn up
have
on impact.
even though it's small, they still have an atmosphere there, don't they?
Yeah. There's no way.
I mean,
And-
what
and-
would that be? I mean,
and-
could that be from their equipment somehow? I don't know. That
And
was a
for,
pretty
like,
cool photo.
Think about how long it takes a rocket to get there, and it's like being propelled at so many thousand miles an hour. You'd have to hurl that mesh pretty fast. I think it would. I don't think critical mass could be reached, or velocity rather. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't have the picture.
The surface pressure of Mars is less than 1% of Earth, so it would burn up same as it would here.
So then they would have to be able to account for that. Like, oh yes, our rover has mesh on it, snakeskin mesh,
Yeah.
right? Wouldn't they be able
exactly.
to be like?
Yeah.
Okay, Trevor, you were correct. I was wrong. It is the Phobos monolith. It's not the Mars monolith. You're very welcome. I found it here. We got to look at that. We got to look at this video real quick. So let me share. Go for it, Dave.
Hey, while you're getting started there, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought. We've had a monolith show up in Utah, and it was like this glassy object, and then just disappeared one day.
Yeah.
And
Nevada had one too just recently.
I was going to say they just had one in Nevada, and this is quite interesting to me. You know, I haven't gone out and seen it myself, but I sure would like to know what that's about.
I saw a video of the guy who did the one in southern Utah.
He did it? Like he did it?
Placed it there?
Yeah, there was a team of guys who did it, and I can't find the video anymore. But they hauled the whole thing up there. They had two big ATV things, and they drilled into the ground down like 19 inches into bedrock, into that rock, and slid the thing in there and cleaned it all off. No,
just for the reactions.
YouTube, or I don't know. I think that's what it was. YouTube video.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, because they
all
popped up
the
in weird
news.
places.
All the news were covering those things.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
it's the same person that did the Nevada one, but my buddy was like, if one pops up in Arizona, we're going, dude.
I bet it was the same guy for them to look exactly the same like that.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me pop this up here. Okay, so this is the monolith part of it.
Alien life. Only a short distance from the
2 times. Apologize.
Hmm.
My YouTube auto goes to that.
largest is Stickney Crater, named after the wife of Asaph Hall, the man who discovered the moons. Stickney Crater is a massive 6 miles wide. It takes up almost half of Phobos' surface. The rim is so circular that it almost looks fake. Believers of the hollow Phobos theory believe that the crater is the entrance to the moon's cavernous interior, caverns potentially harboring alien life. And only a short distance from the giant crater is the Phobos monolith. It's 279 feet across and 300 feet tall. It's oddly bright and oddly rectangular. Nature likes circles and curves, not sharp edges and straight lines. American astronaut Buzz Aldrin even talks about the monolith.
We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there?
Some say the monolith is an artifact, a remnant of an ancient Martian civilization, placed near the crater as a beacon or marker. But there is another theory about the monolith, that it's evidence of technology shared between worlds, because there are structures on Phobos and Mars that are almost identical to structures found right here on Earth.
Anyways, so that's the monolith, which is it's interesting. One of the things that the whole like civilization that they say, where the pyramids are, the face, it's called Cydonia. That's why that guy was from the Institute of Cydonia in the other video that Jackie had showed us. And yeah, the theories are that the monolith or whatever was there is used to communicate with Cydonia back and forth. And then one of the theories too, though, of why it's gone and why there's these massive craters and all that is that this is like a really fringe theory, but it's that Mars was had these cities and then was basically a massive nuclear war breaks out, right? And that's the story, and that's what destroyed and leveled all the cities. And there's been some of the highest concentrations of radiation found on Mars are like on both ends of where Cydonia is, and Cydonia is like in the middle of that. So it's saying like maybe that portion survived some of the war.
I've heard a more believable than the war one.
What's that?
So tell me if you guys have heard this. So there's this. So basically, what the Coriolis effect is, where you see the Van Allen radiation belt that's created and spewed out from the Earth. Have you guys seen what that looks like? Where you've got the Earth like this, and it has
like a donut almost, like curving.
Yeah. On both sides, right? And where we are with the Earth ripping towards the sun, our North Pole creates the biggest shelter for that, right? And it protects us from being just eviscerated. Like there would be no life here at all if we didn't have that. And the people are saying that Mars, when they look, their Van Allen radiation belt, their protection is like completely like wiped out. And so they have an atmosphere, but they don't have this protection from all the rays that are coming in. And people postulate that there was a society there, and something happened with the magnetism of. Oh, there goes Jackie. That you need this liquid inside the Earth that creates that magnetic field, right? It's the same thing as Bob Lazar's thing, how it creates that magnetic pole around it, right? So
the iron core, yeah.
Yeah, so if that inner core hardens up over time, or there's a lot of things that could happen to it where it just stops, then it's not going to create that protection.
That makes more sense, because there's what I was going to jump into is there's high concentrations of what's xenon 129 on Mars, and the xenon 129 is produced in the wake of nuclear reactions. be it like a nuclear reactor meltdown or explosion. They found it at like in Los Alamos after they did the testing there. And so it's not like
what could happen on that. Obviously, what you're saying is they lose their protection.
Right.
They're fine for who knows how long, and then you get one of these burps from the sun. Just one burp,
like a flare.
All it would take, done. Civilization gone.
Yeah. Speaking of the Van Allen radiation belts, that is another episode. Probably we cover the moon. Do you guys think we can get through them? No, right? Like I don't know how
it takes, right?
Huh?
Do you know how long it takes to get to the moon? How long you have to traverse through it?
How many days?
No, it's not days. It's 45 minutes in the intensity of it, and it's 2 hours where you're getting fragments of it, and the level of radiation that you're getting during that period of time is magnitudes and magnitudes more than when you're standing in front of one of those X-ray machines. Dang. And so I had a long conversation with ChatGPT about it, and it explained to me what would happen to you within like the first 10 to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, and then you have to come back through it several days later. It would, I mean, it like go ask your GPT that. It's shocking what it said. I almost made a video on it.
That's crazy.
Well, doesn't on the NASA website, isn't there a video or something of the guy saying, well, we can't get through the radiation belts right now. And you're like, well, how did you do it last time then?
Because we lost the technology. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. They lost the technology.
We lost the technology. We can't return to space right now because we haven't figured out how to traverse through the challenges of the Van Allen radiation belt.
Yep.
We've lost that technology. And when you look at these rovers and the spacecrafts that are on the moon, I mean, we're talking about our moon episode, but we can redo it. You see how paper thin the aluminum was on it. You go and you read the dimensions of what it was, and then you think that the moon gets 200 to 300 degrees below zero and 200 to 300 degrees above zero. Okay. Yeah. And they were inside that aluminum contraption, which would make it super cold and super cooking them hot. And the batteries that they would need to run the air conditioning on those things, they said they spell out exactly what those batteries are. Well, I'm in solar, and I can tell you that the amount of batteries that you would need to use on your house for 200 degrees below and 200 degrees above for your HVAC and your cooling would be like truckloads of batteries. Today's batteries. And we've come so far in battery technology.
Yeah. Yeah. What a mess.
Smells.
It's not possible.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. Here's there's this article. I'll link this to. I sent this to you guys. This is the article by Dr. Bradenberg, who he talks about the Xenon 129 that we were just talking about. And his theory is that maybe there was a naturally occurring nuclear reactor, or he also is an advocate for the potential nuclear war theory or disaster on Mars. So that's kind of an interesting one as well. I wanted to go. We're running just about to an hour here, but look at a couple.
I gotta get running.
Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about then, you're jumping off. We talked about, we kind of hit on this occasionally, is the Anunnaki. One of the theories is, in history and with some of the the Sumerian text, is that Mars was maybe like a jumping off point for the interdimensional travelers.
Like a forward outputting base type deal.
Yes, exactly. And I have that. I'm going to share that real quick, and then we can wrap up with all this. I mean, I have like 12 Zechariah Stitchin tabs open. I think this is it. This has got some weird ads on this website. Maybe it was this one. Hang on.
We can all tell from the ads what Google thinks about Cash. Zoom in. Cash, really quick. This will be fun. Zoom in on the ads. Go back down.
Go back.
Go back down to the ads.
Okay.
Zoom in really quick. I want to see what all these ads. This is what Google thinks of you. Go to the far left.
Yeah.
What's the far left?
That's what I do. I garden I drink and I know things.
Okay.
Bro, Temu.
Pants,
Never once ever have I been on Temu in my life. So
pants for Addison. Zoom in, bro. Don't get away
I'm
from
zoomed.
it.
I'm zoomed.
Okay. Okay. Pants for Addison. Does somebody have bunions, like grandparents, parents? Any of you guys?
No one, dude. I don't know what this is for.
And then the Bob one. I'm a Bob. Anybody know what that means?
Bob Lazar.
Temu needs better. They need more work.
Okay.
Oh man, that's funny. All right.
You must not have the Temu app because they record more data than any company in the world. Do you know that?
I believe it.
Listen to everything, your videos, everything. Okay.
Okay, here's the part with the Anunnaki. So this is Zachariah Stitchin, and we were discussing this earlier on our chat that, you know, he got a lot of flack, but there's some stuff he said that's come out where he's been vindicated. But his quote is, you know, coupled with the text and depictions of the photographic data from the surface of Mars, the similarities between Martian structures and those on Earth erected by the Anunnaki all lead to one plausible conclusion. Mars, sometime in the past, was a site of a space base, and there is also evidence suggesting that the ancient space base has been reactivated in our very own time in these very days. Bum, bum, bum. So, but yeah, it's basically a jumping off point because Mars was called the traveler ship. And that's, you know, based on the Sumerian text where they depict some of the stuff.
Have you guys seen the video that there's a theory out there that's only like 10% accepted that Mars and Earth used to be bigger, and that in the formation of everything that they smashed into each other, and what our moon is either part of Mars or part of Earth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or both, maybe even like the child of Mars and Earth, because it comes together over time. I think there's something to that. There might be. They can make the math work.
Maybe so. Yeah, I mean,
but
I would be curious to know how it became perfectly spherical.
Is that what the moon is, or is the moon a spaceship, guys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the moon's hollow, right?
The moon's hollow.
So
there's more conspiracies around the moon.
Great.
We got at least 2 podcasts for the moon.
Yeah.
The moon's gonna be killer.
Yeah, I love it. Well,
it's a Death Star.
Ash, let me answer that question really quick.
Shoot.
The if in that 4 billion year cycle, it passed close enough to one of the black holes, not even necessarily our supermassive black hole, but any black hole close enough to it, the planets, that's how they get that perfect compression, like a tinfoil ball that you can make smooth.
Makes sense.
I don't think it has to pass by a black hole. I think just the effects of gravity of itself. When something's molten, it's like if you were to take, you know, go up in zero gravity and just squirt out water, you know, it kind of is doing this. But if you give it long enough and it stops, it, you know, it's got the effect of air on it, right there too, inside. As it's moving, air is pushing around, but it'll become a perfect ball. And then
That's
if
so
it just
weird.
freezes into ice, then it will be a perfect sphere.
I wonder why and how that happens. In the absence, in the vacuum of space, that's so weird.
Well, because it starts to create its own center point of gravity, right? And so it's pulling equally on every atom of mass, and they all are pulling to the center. And so a perfect sphere is going to be the shape, unless it's spinning really fast. If it's spinning really fast, then it'll start to.
And that's why they say the Earth is shaped like a oblate pear, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's another one of the reasons why South America, the maps are totally screwed up when we show our maps, right? Like Africa and South America are 30% bigger than what they look like on our maps. 30%. Have you guys seen those maps?
Wow. I have.
Jackie, you've not seen that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Wrap this baby up and I'm going to find it while we're chatting.
Okay.
This is insane.
Well, you're going to show us after?
No, I'll show you right now.
Okay. Well, as far as Mars is concerned, though, a couple of other things, you know, if you want to go look, there are theories about different caverns on Mars that are miles deep. where essentially you'd be able to be protected from that radiation we were talking about. There's also theories of ice being in these caves that it can help sustain life. They say that if humans ever went to colonize Mars, I think Elon's even talked about it. One of the first things they do is go for those caverns and craters to be able to use the ice for water or liquid to be able to help sustain any sort of life. And those were discovered by NASA years and years ago. If you go look for articles, it's called the Martian Cave Dwellings. And I think it was actually the University of Arizona who first discovered them. And then there's a lot more theories around Cydonia, around the pyramids, around the structures. There's a structure called the Shipwreck, which looks like a massive crashed alien spaceship, similar to the one that you showed us, Jackie, but just a lot bigger in size. And the rabbit hole goes on from there. So I'll link the videos for that as well in the description here for everyone to check out. All right, Trevor, you find it?
I've had to resort to YouTube. Okay, I think I got one. Hold your horses.
Sounds good. Have you guys heard the story of Hisashi Ouchi, the Japanese engineer who got radiation exposure? It's not super well known, but he got like a bucket of radioactive material kind of like spilled on him a little bit. He got contact with it, and they kept him alive. Whether he was alive or not, I don't really know, but it was like an 80-day process till he finally conked out, and they couldn't get him better because the radiation was just killing him so fast. Like they tried to, when they changed his bandages, his skin was just falling off the bandages. They had to stop changing them, and then slowly his organs started shutting down, internal bleeding, crazy stuff. Whenever I think of the Van Allen radiation belts and people are like, oh, we could sustain it, whatever, blah, 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 I always think of that guy because, he just had a tiny little bit of exposure, but direct exposure nonetheless, and just essentially disintegrated in his hospital bed over the course of 80 days.
Yeah,
I have a different opinion. I want to go back and give it a solid research again, because I researched the moon 10 years ago, more than that, guys. And I can't remember all the stuff, but I came to certain conclusions back then, and I tend to believe that I was not being stupid. But I feel like, in nuclear reactors, we use water to help as a shield. And I did watch a NASA engineer talk about how they turned the ship almost like foot first, almost, right? When they went through the Van Allen radiation belts, because that's where their water tanks were. And the water tanks were able to shield them. And yeah, they still got exposure to some amount of radiation, but they're moving fast through this. It's not like the radiation is moving at all sides at the speed of light. They're pushing foot first through this at 27,000 miles or whatever they're actually at that point per hour. And so I have a place where I can believe maybe we could make it through there, but we did not with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. Yeah. That is what I'm maintaining. And so I do want to go back though and give it another shot. It would probably be like the fourth or fifth time I've researched the moon landing, to be honest.
Did you watch the guy that just was on Rogan?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Dave, I want to know if Dave did.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Well, maybe our next episode, or
we should do that next episode.
Yeah, let's do the moon. We'll jump into it. We can there's lots
of
research.
Can you see my screen?
I'm about to share it. There you go.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. I just searched for this in TikTok and YouTube. This is buried. This used to be like the first thing that popped up, and there's a lot of other ones, not just this old one here in the 80s on Oprah. So this is being scrubbed,
People, the way you use things like this, teaching aids like this, are what make you and I racist. We were taught that this is the way the world looks. It's a flat out lie.
If you have children going to school,
look at the size of Africa compared to. I got to go back just a tiny bit here. This is insane.
It's a flat out lie.
Okay.
Wow.
Look at that. It's like it looks like it's bigger than all of Europe, all of Russia, all of Asia.
Yeah. Turn on its side, it would be, huh?
And then look at how tiny the US is. It'd just be like barely in here. And then South America is just slightly smaller.
If you have children going to school,
But guys, this doesn't make anyone racist. It means the projection methods of the computer models and how they map stuff were just not. They weren't spherical projection methods, right? They were more like a linear projection method on a sphere. So this is
what happened. What our map is obviously has nothing to do with racist, but she loves to put it in there. You've seen when they pull the map off and they peel it off, right? And it has like that's the best way they can do it, and that's where they've got the continents and everything from. But those are actually the real sizes are what they're showing.
Let's go look and do like some measurements, like how many miles across is it, and then try and find something that could actually map that to scale to see how big or small it would be.
There's videos on there that people have done that.
Yeah. Super interesting. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. The theories still stand. Is Mars red? It's not. That's a for sure. Do we have rovers there? Maybe
I think
not.
we're undefeated on our conspiracies so far. You guys feel like so far we're undefeated?
Pretty much. Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up here in Tahoe right now where the Sierra tapes were filmed.
Yeah.
So every night I'm listening. Nothing so far.
Hey, one of these days we need to do technology. Is it real?
Is it real?
Is it real?
That's my favorite.
Is it real?
Is it really real?
Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody again for tuning in. If you have a theory that you would like us to cover, go ahead and leave it in the comments or let us know and we'll make sure to tackle it. If you've got a great theory that you don't think anyone knows about, you'd like to come on the show and talk about it, you're also welcome to message us about that. We'll make it happen.
Subscribe,
like, and share this. Share with your friends. Uncle Sam is watching you. The next one.